facade, don't be misled. Don't be misled. See through their facade, don't let their words fill your head. Do let the matrix, don't let them drag you back to the ditch. Don't feed their hate, don't let their influence bewitch. The spotlight, their sermons trending, lost in their own pain, their own demise descending. Fame and fortune, their new religion ascending. But their message is empty, their souls are pretending. No more books, all they need is a screen and a voice. They twist the truth, manipulate with no remorse. They teach out of their confusion, their anger aimed at you. Don't fall back in their trap, don't let them control what you do. Stop giving them your time, don't be misled. See through their facade, don't let their words fill your head. You left the matrix, don't let them drag you back to the ditch. Back to the ditch. Don't feed their hate, don't let that influence be weird. Don't feed their hate, don't let them drag you back to the ditch. Don't feed their hate, don't let their influence be weird.
Hey, everybody, welcome.
Stop giving them your time. Don't be misled. Don't be misled. See through that facade. Don't let their words fill your head. You left the matrix.
How's everybody doing today? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope you guys this beautiful Tuesday, April the 2nd. We're in April the 2nd now. I mean, it's next thing you know, y'all, we're going to be in May. Look, I better not say it too fast because we'll probably be there tomorrow if we blink our eye too quick. But anyway, hey, how's everybody doing? I hope you guys are doing great. And shout out, of course, as always, to everybody in the chat arena. So glad to have you guys here as well. We had a good day today. I literally just popped off the grill. I had to time it just right. So that I can get on here because, otherwise, we would have been looking at some charcoal pieces. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. And, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe over, if that's if you want to, but we would like for you to subscribe to our podcast. We just dumped some podcasts between yesterday and the day before. We did, let's see, the Who in the L series. I posted the latest installment of that. And I also did today was we did a podcast today for Digital Plantation podcast. So we just posted that. It was some very interesting information we came across there. Talking about social, what was the word? It's not coming to me right now. I just, contagion, social contagion. That's what it was. And so, we talked about that. And if you haven't checked that out, you definitely want to check that out. Okay. All right. So glad that everybody's here. Not going to try to take up too much of your time. I just want to kind of jump right into it. So what we're going to be sharing today shouldn't be too long. If you have watched or followed any of our Who in the L series, we actually covered this. And what prompted me to do this is one of our followers, Kimberly, and she asked, could I send them the sources for what we're going to be talking about, what we actually talked about in the series. And then that made me like, I got to find those slides. And yeah, I came across it. So I said, you know what? As I was kind of looking for them, I said, you know what? Why not make a short video on it? So that's what I'm doing. This one is very short, and we're going to jump right into it. Okay, so let me get my lights together again. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. So glad to see y'all here. Hold on for just a moment. Let me get something together here. Anyway, that's a little bit better. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's jump into this. So what we're going to talk about today is Jerusalem. And this is a biggie one. This is definitely a biggie. We're going to talk about Jerusalem, but we're going to talk about just a little bit of the history of Jerusalem that I can almost assure you that if you're in the church, your pastor probably didn't talk about this. If you're in the Hebrew world, there's probably a lot of mores or wannabe mores or whatever the names are now. Probably didn't talk about this either. Now, let me be straight up and up front with y'all. What I'm sharing, it doesn't make me any kind of guru or any kind of I'm a regular person, and we're going to take time during this broadcast, and I'm just going to show you you can just look this up on your own. Don't take my word for it. Okay. I always say that. And I had somebody, I ain't going to embarrass them, but I was so appreciative of their transparency and their honesty. They were inquiring about the research group that we have. And, they were pretty much like, hey, when it comes to reading, that's really not my thing. I'm sure they read some, but, I guess maybe they thought that it's just going to be, you're just going to be under an avalanche of books. And I'm going to be like, okay, are you at chapter 2? Are you at chapter? No, it's not that at all. Our research group, all I do is as I come across different information, we'll have like a book of the month, which I got to pick, between tonight and tomorrow, I think. Book of the month. And I'll say, here's the book of the month. I'm going to highlight some things in the book. You read it whenever you want to read it. But this month we're going to set aside for this particular book. Okay. And so that's what it is. And then so as far as I would like to see assignments, I would like to see those things, but I also know that, people tend to be a little shy, and whatever, and it's fine. So I'm very patient, with that. So what I'm doing right now is that the stuff that I have either come across or learned or whatever, I'm just simply passing it along, and whatever people choose to do with it, it's up to you, So what we share on this platform, you're only getting a tiny, tiny bit. I don't really share a whole lot on here, and I've kind of sat on some things simply because, I kind of have an idea of the audience that I'm playing to out here. When you're on YouTube, you get people from all over. A lot of times people jump in and say something silly, and then they'll jolt out, or they'll start an argument, and then, and then you find out they're not really serious. It's all circular and all that. And it's just a lot of stuff. I personally just don't have time. And, we're just simply here to try to learn and, to really get to the truth of these things. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And so a lot of stuff that we have covered over the years, you'll find it over on mybondtube.com. And it's been over there. Like what I'm about to share right now, this is probably about a year and a half old of info, but it's a small part, and it's of these sets of slides here that we're going to go through. We're not going to go through all of them, but it's like over 100 slides, just to give you an idea, but we're not going through 100 slides in this. No. So, and then what I do is on our other channel, long form history, I'll just take little snippets of things and then I'll post it over there, but this channel that you're on right now, Samba Journeys, it's kind of a hodgepodge, a little bit of everything that we talk about, everything from the health and the history and stuff like that. You'll get a hodgepodge of it. But if you want to delve in even more into these topics, we have platforms for that so that you can delve in it in it a lot more, But yeah, so what we're going to talk about today is something that it was part of a very long, very intensive study that we did as far as knowing the history. I think this is part of the Who in the L series. This is the first installment of it. And then somewhere down the line in that installment, we talked about the history of Jerusalem. And this is something that, like I said, a lot of times people really don't think about. And I'm getting my way to this, family, but this is one point I want to make, and then we're going to get to it. Okay. What our people have to understand is that when we were brought over to this country, I'm talking about black folks, we were brought over for one thing and one thing only, and that was to do what? To be slaves. That's it. Okay. That's why we were brought to this country. You were not brought over here so that you can get a college education. You were not brought over here so that you can become a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that, even though those things are happening. But you were not brought over for that. The primary reason why you were brought over here as slaves is to be just that, slaves. And slaves are trained and indoctrinated to do exactly what they're told. That's it. And so, in other words, if they say, go over there and pick that cotton, boy, you go and do that. That's it. It is not your responsibility or your place to say, well, wait a minute, it's raining out there. And, if I do this, scientifically speaking, no, you don't add any of that. If they tell you go pick that cotton, you go do that. If they tell you to go pick that tobacco, you go do that. If they tell you to go in the house and clean up the house, you go do that, or clean up the food or whatever. So you were trained to think that way. Now, as time went on, the church or religion became more and more a part of slavery. In fact, you'll find that there were pastors who were also slave owners. So it was an easy fit to where the role of the pastor was kind of like that, took the place of the slave master. And what do I mean by that? In other words, the pastor is the one that he's the only one in the house that knows what God is saying at that moment. And so everybody else, what is your job to do? Amen. Amen. That's right, Pastor. Amen. And you just nod, amen, in agreement. You ain't have read it. You don't have know what he's saying. You don't know at all what did he make this up? Or is he just, playing with us or whatever? Your job is to say amen, to agree with what this man has said. That's your job. That's your responsibility. Now that has continued on. Sadly, that mindset has stayed with many of our people, where we have been trained to think just like that, even in the area of politics. If we can just get the right person in office, when we sit back and don't do anything, all we got to do is just agree with them and keep it moving. We don't have to investigate to see if they're being effective, if they're doing what they're saying they're supposed to do. All we care about is just as long as you say the right things that we want you to say, that's it. We don't need to follow up. Okay. You're the big man in the house and we the little people out in here in the field. And that's the mindset that is carried over, but it's specifically has been seen in the area of religion. And it's no different, even in this Hebrew space, in the Hebrew space, when we were in it, it's the same thing. A lot of people, I would probably say some of y'all, even in the house tonight, you look to people on YouTube to tell you what to think, what to believe. Do you understand what I'm saying? As opposed to saying, wait a minute, hold on. Now, some of this stuff you're saying it's resonating with me, but I still need to check it out. And that's where a lot of people pump the brakes and I just don't have time. Man, just tell me what to think. Tell me what to believe. That's it. That's all I need to know. And it's funny because even when you look at other cultures, a lot of times in many, not all, but many cultures, they're not like that. They're going to say, oh, really? Oh, you said that? Okay, let me go back and study what you said. Let me go back and double check what you're saying here and make sure what you're saying is legit. You know what I'm saying? But in our culture, we have been trained to simply accept what this person is saying on the screen or what this person is saying on the stage and never or rarely question it. We've been trained to operate on feeling. Okay, that's another thing I want you to understand, that our people from the jump, when we came here to these shores, we have been trained to operate on feeling. Don't believe me? When you didn't do what you were supposed to do, what did they do? They whipped your behind. That's a feeling, ain't it? And they tend to use fear. Fear always has been the motivator to get you to do something, to get you to believe something. Religion does the same thing. Religion always dangles hell, will always dangle torment, will always dangle judgment over you all the time. All the time. There's always those things. If you don't do this, if you don't do all this, oh, you don't want to be in the hands of an angry God. You don't want to do that. And so religion always keeps you on edge. But where religion, as it pertains to us, black folks, where did that come from? They used that was introduced to us by slavery. You had to always be whipped into believing, into living a full life. You have to be whipped into believing a certain way. And you can't tell me, even in the Hebrew space, it does the same thing. This is why 90% of the time it's always on judgment. And if you don't do this, you don't do that, you're going to be judged. It stays right on that. And where did they get that from? Well, they borrowed that from Judaism. But what's funny, the irony is Judaism gives themselves, people who practice Judaism, they give themselves way more allowances than people in the Hebrew space. I mean, they'll make up stuff all the time to get out of prison for real. You know what I mean? But black folks, man, we gonna stay on it, man. We are the field, you know what, when it comes to Judaism. We gonna stay on it. Oh, don't you go anywhere, boy. Nah, you know, I know Massa, I know he's given himself some allowances, but nah, see, Massa put me in charge right here now. So we go way hard and we go way extra when it comes to enforcing these things. And so, but you're going to have to break out of that, you know, and for some people it's easy. Some people it's not easy. I haven't met anybody yet where it is easy. You let me know. You let me know when you find someone like that. It's not easy. It's a challenge, but nonetheless, we have to begin to go beyond the narratives that have been given to us and see that it's okay and begin to invest in researching these things on our own. Again, so back to the research group that we have, in no way, shape, or form and someone leaning on you, telling you got assignments and you got to have this read by the certain. No, if you want to read it, it's up to you. If you don't want to read it, it's fine. I keep bringing this up, family. It's not, if you think that's some big money maker for me, it is not. It's $4.99. That's not a whole lot. It really isn't. I'm bringing it up because I understand that if we can get just some of our people caring enough to to start picking up a book, start looking at some of these things and beginning to pay attention beyond just someone telling them something and they just believe it, maybe we can start turning some things around. That's why we do this. Okay, so this ain't the motivator, ain't money. Trust me, there are a lot of other platforms I can point to right now that charge a grip, and all you do all day is sit up there and listen to them just running their mouth all day. We don't do that. I give you some stuff and I'll share like some voice messages of things I've come across or whatever. And I say, here, well, you do with it what you want to do with it. That's on you. Okay. But anyway, so that's what all of that is about. But I wanted to take some time to talk about that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. So in our, what you call it, Who in the L series, we did a section here where we talked about Jerusalem. Okay, I'm trying to find it right now. Get the right thing up here. Hold on for a sec. There we go. I'll make sure that stays on there. Okay, cool. All right. So we did a section where we talked about Jerusalem, and it's quite a few slides. I don't know how far I'll get in it, but we'll just go over a few. Okay. So Jerusalem. How many of you've heard the word Jerusalem, or just like the word Israel, and you just accept it because it's in the Bible and it's Jerusalem, right? But have you ever thought about the origin of that word? Where did that word actually come from? What does it actually mean? When you look into any time you're looking in the Bible, the one thing you always have to keep in mind is that in most cases, the stories that are given in the Bible, in many cases, not all, but many cases, they are allegorical in nature, meaning that they are actually, these are stories that were heavily influenced by something that happened many, many years ago. You know, you'll find that in many cases, even the names. So if you just heard what I just said and you like a little trouble by that, let me just help you out a little bit. There are very few that I can honestly think of accurate historical accounts I'm talking about thousands of years old, like old as the Bible, that talk about what, that they went to bed and they had a dream, and then they got up the next day, then they walked up the street and they met the people, and the people, they had a conversation and all this stuff. I'm talking about like details. There aren't too many. The only ancient documents that you'll find that are in existence today that I can think of that give that kind of detail, as if I'm talking about details like someone was walking with Moses his whole life from birth to death. I'm talking about details like you was walking with Peter and Paul and all of them, and you just sitting in the corner and you just writing it all down. I'm talking about that kind of level of details. There aren't too many that come to my mind of any document where it's that accurate and it's like thousands of years old. The only time you'll come across something that's ancient and is detailed like that is typically a story. But as far as like someone having one of these little wired notebooks and they in the corner somewhere and they writing down the expressions on people's faces and what they said and the room gasped and all that stuff, that's typically a story. That's not like someone with a camcorder or anything like that. That's typically a story. That's, in most cases, that's the case. Okay. So there you go with that. So, but when you're reading, if it's a name of a town, if it's a name of an individual, if it's a certain practice, like we could talk about the pool of Bethesda. If you think that the miracle that took place there, that was just a little story that really no, we can go into the history behind the pool of Bethesda. Why it was there? Why did they have a whole story behind it about people being healed there? That it was actually something else that was going on there. But, again, now that can be another video that we'll do on that one. But anyway, let's go on. So Jerusalem. So let's talk about Jerusalem and let's get into a little bit of the history of it. Okay. So here we go. And I have the source down there. The website is phoenicia.org /Jerusalem. It's down there. Okay. And so anyway, so this isn't just understand, this isn't the only reason why I'm using this. I want to make something very clear. This isn't my sole source. Okay. This isn't the sole source. This is just a source that just happens to have it compiled on one page. But if you take the time, as I did, and go through what's on here, you will definitely find that what's written here is in fact accurate. Okay. So I don't want anybody in the chat or in the comments saying you just using one web page when anybody could do that. Well, yeah, I'm just using it because they kind of made it easy. But I also went even further than this. And I said, let me verify what they're saying is true. And I did. And I was like, dang, okay, well, there it is. All right, so here we go. So Canaanite Phoenician Jerusalem, or it was also called Jerusalem, the city founded by Shalem, the Phoenician god of dusk. Did you hear that? The city found by Shalem, the Phoenician god of dusk. All right. So let's get into it. And they do a breakdown. So we're good. Let's go. The original inhabitants of Jerusalem were Phoenician Canaanites. Jerusalem was originally a village built on a hill. The name Jerusalem is first found on Egyptian statues going back to 2500 BC. Jerusalem, in fact, is a word of Canaanite derivation. The prefix uru, U-R-U, meaning founded by, and the suffix Salem or Shalem is Phoenician Canaanite god of dusk. This evidence is reinforced by archaeology and by tablets found in Elba, Syria, dating back to 3000 BC, on which the god Shalem being venerated in a city called, Uruk Shalem is mentioned. The old name of the city, Jerusalem, figures also in the Egyptian text called Text of Proscription of, that's 567, the 7th dynasty, and they say WS and an MM, pronounced in the Akkadian language, Jerusalem, city of God. Okay, let's go on. In the 14th century BC, King Abadi Hepa, king of the Phoenician Canaanites, wrote to the pharaoh, Akhenaten, and implored him to rid Jerusalem of new invaders. He described a group of people known as Habrus, Habirus, as having already conquered Rashada and advancing on Jerusalem. In the Bible, the story of Abraham mentions Melchizedek. We talked about that. The king of Salem, the king of Jerusalem, and the priest of the Most High, El Elyon. So this is where we get the Most High from. So a lot of people, a lot of times when you refer to God, you refer to you will say you will say the Most High. That's what you refer to him as. You refer to the Most High. The words the Most High isn't something that just kind of you just found in the Bible somewhere. Well, maybe you did, El Elyon, but in actuality, it actually that is referring to El, the god El, and he was referred to as the highest god in the pantheon of Canaanite gods. Okay, let's see here. Light to earth. Let me chat with you for just a moment, okay? What I would advise you to do is to go to our playlist, okay, on the front of our YouTube page. And because I don't want you to be confused anymore, okay? And in that, we have a playlist. I don't mind taking time here just to, let people know, and let me pull that up right here, because I want to make it very clear. So that way you can, if you want to spin off and go there and you want to find out more and where we stand and what we believe, you are more than welcome to do that. Okay. So here, I'm bringing it up right now. Oh yeah, here it is. It's called Leaving the Hebrew Matrix. It's right here. All right. You see that? Leaving the Hebrew Matrix. And when you go there, there's a video. Go to, where is it? It's going to be a video. It's, Rest Stop. You can go to this one. Rest Stop, detailing our journey so far. You can go to that one. You can go to that one. There's another one on there too, but you can go to that one. That one's a good one. And that one will make you unconfused on where we are. Okay. So if you want to find out more about where we are, and you can go to that. Okay. But what I'm kindly asking you to do is do not use this chat to start any side conversations unless we're talking about the topic. Okay. Because if you're not going to talk about the topic, then you're gonna have to go. So basically, I see that you choosing not to do that, so we're gonna ban you. That's how that works. Okay. So you see, y'all, I was being nice. I was giving them an opportunity to find out more. But as we see, a lot of times we come across people like this that really aren't interested at all to find out anything else. So here we go. So we try to make it easy for people. But there you go. Let's see. So let's go back here to my other thing here. There we go. All right. So here we go. All right. So El Elyon. So you heard me talk about El Elyon. He, anytime you hear somebody say the Most High, you're actually referring to the God El Elyon, who's the highest God in the Canaanite Pantheon. Okay. That's where that's coming from. All right. So that's why I know even in this house, we had to retrain ourselves and say, oh, we ain't gonna say that because that's where it comes from. Now I know that I'm sure there's some people say, no, it ain't. See, that's when the wicked people came in. No, you want their history. You want their culture so bad. This is their culture. This is their history. All right. And we're just taking the time to learn it. All right. So here we go. Let's continue. So anyway, Phoenician, let's see. Okay, here we go. In 1000 BC, King David conquered Jerusalem and established it as his capital. At the time of his conquest, the city was known as Jebus or Yebus, because I don't think they had the J there at the time, but renamed it Jerusalem once again. All right. And then we'll just continue to read it right here. Phoenician Canaanite high priestly apostolic succession of Yahweh's temple. All right. Let's go to that. Let's see. All right, here we go. King David reinvested the Phoenician Canaanite high priest of Jerusalem to continue functioning in that position. Scholars have noticed two high priests were referred to in the account of King David's life, Abiathar and Zadok. Abiathar is mentioned early in the narratives, even before David is, and then they give the scripture reference. But Zadok, I say Zadok or Zadok, the priest, appears suddenly and only after the conquest of Jerusalem. Zadok was the Canaanite high priest of Jerusalem. Zadok was a Canaanite. Go into the word, it tells you that. But you at this point, you should be scratching your head. How is it that a Canaanite, a person that, according to the Bible, they were supposed to be wiped out? How is it that he is made into a high priest? How is that possible? See, what I'm trying to tell y'all, for those of you who really embrace this without asking any questions at all, is that there's history behind this that a lot of times folks don't even bother to look at because you are trained. It's this one book. That's it. Don't give me any other book. It's the Bible. That's it. We ain't gonna look at any other book. But once you begin to look at the history that was being written around during that time, you'll begin to see things in a lot more greater context. Like the whole thing, Zadok the priest, for example. Let me tell you about that. The elite, particularly in Britain, they are so clicked into particularly like the priestly line and all of that. They have actually a song. It's called Zadok the Priest or something like that, and it's a song that they play anytime when someone is being crowned, and it's called Zadok the Priest, and they actually believe that they are in the same line as these people that are in the Bible. Okay. Now you may just hear what I just said and be like, oh, well, they're going to be surprised on that day when they see Jesus come and all that. Oh, I was going to say something. You going to be surprised. No, you going to be surprised because you didn't write it. This is an ancient lineage. Okay. This is an ancient lineage that has ancient receipts. You just got a King James Version Bible. Okay, that you got from the Christian bookstore or from Amazon. Okay, maybe you ain't figured that out yet. Okay, you got a Bible that you purchased on Amazon or you got from the Christian bookstore, but they got ancient receipts. Okay, so a lot of stuff that these people do, they're just a succession of things that were going on all the way back thousands of years ago. Okay. And that tags along with what we've been saying about these Russian paintings. I mean, what in the world have you been smoking or drinking or both? What in the world? How do you think you can go all the way from your seat in the United States? You sitting all the way in the United States, and you think you got authority over Russian spirituality? Like you an authority. You speaking like you got authority over. You telling them their history. You want to talk about confusion and the audacity. Well, I know what it says because I'm looking right at it. Did you go over there? Did you talk to them? Did they tell you that? Did you bother looking? Well, I bought a book. Did you talk to? No. And it's crazy. It's great. Anyway, so let's continue. So Zadok the priest we talked about appears suddenly and only after the conquest of Jerusalem. Zadok was a Canaanite high priest of Jerusalem who David permitted to continue to serve. Further, Zadok would also have been the king of Jerusalem. He says city-state like all other Phoenician city-states. It is known that both functions were played by the same person in these Phoenician states. Zadok is identified with Arana. Let's see. Arana, I hope I'm saying that right. The person who sold David the threshing floor for the purpose of building the altar. And it gives the scripture reference. The word Arana, I'm probably not saying that right, is not a personal name. Rather, it is a title meaning the Lord, right? King David conformed to the tradition which Abraham started when he recognized the validity of the older Phoenician Canaanite high priest of Jerusalem, which was Melchizedek. Okay. And then it goes on with that right there. And the source right there, you can check it out. Now, what we're going to do now, before I get to the next slide, is we're going to do this together. All right. We're going to do this together. I'm going to pull up a page. All right. And you can do it right along with me. Where is it? All right. This is very simple. This is extremely simple. Okay. What we getting ready to do now. Now, if you want to follow along and do this with me, you can go ahead or not, or just get mad. It don't matter. But what all we're doing here, as soon as I can make this a little bit bigger here. I just did a straight Google search right here, Jerusalem. All right. And it's going to have all of these links here that's going to tell you exactly what I just told you. All right. And I'll just go here. I think this is one here. Say Yahweh's word. Let me see. All right. Let's see. Yeah, you can go through all of these. You can just do the search. You can do the search on your own if you want. Do the search on your own for that word that I just told you. All right. You can do the search there. Another thing you can do is let me get out of this and I will pull up Chat GPT. All right. You can do that too. Let me pull that up. And Chat GPT is free. I mean, if you want the other, they have one you have to pay for, but Chat GPT is free. You can go, you just type in chat. You just have to sign up for it or whatever, but that's it. All right. So let me go to Chat GPT. All right. Cause see, some people think I just be making stuff up or whatever. And you just get mad or whatever. And okay. You can look this stuff on your own. You think I'm crazy. All right, so this is Chat GPT right here. All right, now I'm gonna say, please tell me the origins of the word Jerusalem, okay? Okay. I did this earlier. But I'm just going to do it again. All right, so it's giving us our answer right here. And for people who want to say, "Oh, you using that AI and that AI, they can make that thing say whatever they want or whatever." Okay, then use that same standard when you ask an AI about the things you want to confirm your own bias. Okay, you got to be consistent with that. You know what I mean? So no, this is I'm just giving you different ways you can look this stuff up on your own. Okay. So so it's not just Google. You can go to Yahoo, whatever it is that you want to use. Okay, so it says here, the word Jerusalem is an ancient name for Jerusalem and is believed to have originated from the Amorite language, which was spoken in the ancient Near East. The name is thought to be composed of two parts, Uru, which meaning city or foundation, and Shalem, which is the name of a Canaanite deity associated with dusk, safety, and completion. Therefore, Jerusalem can be interpreted as the foundation of Shalem or the city of Shalem. This name appears in various ancient texts, including Egyptian and Akkadian inscriptions, predating the Hebrew name Jerusalem. Okay? And you can take anything that I have shared with you so far, and you can go through this as well, and it's going to tell you the same exact thing. Now, the question I have for you is, there are quite a few platforms out here that spend a whole lot of time going through old books and going through this and going through that and going through this and breaking all these things down. Let me ask you something. It's something like this, just the name Jerusalem. Why do you think they ain't saying nothing about that? Why do you think that ain't come up? Seemed like something like that would have just come up. Now, some people may go and try and say, "Oh no, it actually came for the." You can't even get around this, even if you tried. So Jerusalem, how many times Jerusalem has been mentioned with such great passion and all of this stuff, right? I mean, even when you go to the New Testament, when you go to the book of Revelations, it ain't just stopped there. It continues on. In fact, we're supposed to get a new Jerusalem, according to the book of Revelation. Let's read it. Revelation chapter 21. All right, so he says, let's go here. And I'm going to go to verse 10. It says, "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending where? Out of heaven from God." Hold on for a second. Let's read that again. Don't get mad at me. This is the text. "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me that great city, the holy." Someone tell me in the chat, what does the word holy mean? I'll wait. Tell me what the word holy means. I want to wait for this one. Someone tell me in the chat. I know there's a little delay. Tell me what the word holy basically means. That's an easy one. Yeah, tell me what the word holy means. Someone tell me, and then we'll continue on. All right. Let me comb out my beard while we're doing that, okay? While I'm waiting for someone to answer that. That's an easy one. The word holy. Tell me what the word holy means. Just the basic name, the basic meaning of it. Yeah, that's a huge delay on this thing. Dang, what? I got 8-track internet today I'm operating on. Or cassette tape internet. Maybe that's what I'm working on. Anyway, I'll give it to 10 and then I'll just continue on. Dang, this thing dragging. I didn't know it was. I guess they figured that, yeah, you can't. We got to make sure we put him on a long drag in case he says set apart. Thank you, Juanea. Yes, and Christians, same thing. Righteousness, when I think of holy. Yes, righteousness, right living, sacred, set apart, righteous. Very good. That's right. That's what it means. So let me then ask you this. How can a city that's dedicated to the Canaanite god of dusk be a set apart city unless it's set apart for uh-oh. Whoa. Uh-oh. Oh, snap. Uh-oh. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute. Let's read that again. We're going to take our time today. Uh-oh. Let's read it again. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me that great city, the set apart Jerusalem, descending where? Out of heaven. In other words, this city that's dedicated to the Canaanite god of Shalem is coming out of heaven, the place you trying to get to, supposedly. Oh, oh man, oh man. This opens up a whole lot of stuff, don't it? When I tell you, when we're living in the Matrix, and the Matrix has a manual, and that manual is the Bible, I know for y'all, some of y'all it's hard. I know it is. I know it is. And so many people you got some people, we've had some people already unsubscribing and all that. And just, ain't nothing else what else can I do? All I can do is tell you what you want and sadly for some of our people, they won't even believe this until a white man tells them. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You just misinterpreting that. See, I'm getting a little tired of all of this. You just misinterpreting and taking stuff out of context and all that. You want to read the whole chapter? We can read the whole chapter if you want. I just had you go to Google. I just had you go to ChatGPT. I just gave you other sources. Look it up for yourself, the word Jerusalem. And you would think, okay, well, maybe they made a mistake, in the Old Testament, maybe they kind of forgot to correct that. Okay, we'll give them that. But in the New Testament, they'll get the name right. No. They double down in the New Testament. In the New Testament, at the end, we're supposed to end up in the city that's dedicated to the Canaanite god Shalem. And like I said, I know for some of y'all, it's scary. I know, because for some of you, it's like, well, dog, man, well, what do we believe? That ain't my place to tell you what to believe. What I'm here for is to get you out of the matrix. That's it. That's my job. That's my responsibility, is to wake you up. That's it. It ain't to tell you what you want to believe. That's going to be on you. But what you should believe is truth. That's it. That should be your only thing, is truth. That's it. Your purpose right now, in this time that we're in right now, should be ridding yourself of every lie and every deception that has been fed to you since your beginning. That's what you should be doing right now. Because if you're trying to go up higher, you got to get rid of that stuff that's keeping you lower. Let me read it again. Let me read verse 10 again. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me that great city, the holy, the set apart Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. Who's the God of Jerusalem? Well, according to the name, It's Shalem. Now you understand why in Western culture, when you look at other cultures, they have specific names for their gods, right? They have specific names, whether the gods are real or not. I ain't getting into that. But they have specific names, and those specific gods have specific names, and they have specific roles. But in the West, in Western culture, they just say God. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, okay, God. We don't even treat our cars like that. And you ever thought of that? Like if someone says, what kind of car you have? Do you have a car? Yes or no? Yes. We usually like to say, well, yeah, I have a 2000 and such this. Oh man, I really like this car because it's got this feature, it's got this, and it's got that. We're always very detailed when it comes to our cars most of the time, right? But when it comes to God, it's like, oh, he's just God. It's just one name. It's just God. That's it. But now hopefully you're starting to understand why they just went with generic God, because it's made up of so many different ideologies and religions and belief systems and spiritualities. They just did that and push it on you. And that's why on our dollar, it says in God we trust. Well, and then the next question should be, in what God you talking about? Well, they can't answer that because it's all it's a hodgepodge of different gods. That's what it is. Let's get to this last sign. Yeah, I think that's it. How's my time? Okay. Yeah, this should be about an hour. All right. So here's the last slide. Like I said, I got a ton of other slides. Maybe I'll jump to some other ones real quick here. But I've already mentioned this, but I'll do it again. Shalem or Shalim, depending on who you're talking to or listening to, and they give you all the spellings here, is a god in Canaanite religion mentioned in inscriptions found in Ugarit and in Syria. And then they name, this is another source here. William F. Albright identifies Shalem as the god of dusk and Shahar as the god of the dawn. In the Dictionary of Deities and Demons in the Bible, Shalem is also identified as a deity representing Venus or the evening star, and Shahar is the morning star. His name derives from the consonantal, or however you say it, Semitic root SLM. This is where you start digging way deep. I'm just going to read it. Hopefully you get it. If you don't get it, it's fine too. But I'm just showing you just how much of a hodgepodge of different gods and goddesses a lot of this stuff that we find in the Bible is, because we just been taught to read it just one dimensionally. But it's a lot of different stuff in there. So anyway, Shalem and his brother Shahar are as offsprings of El. Through the two women he meets at the seashore. They are both nursed by the lady, likely Anat or Asherah. And they have appetites as large as one lip to the earth and one lip to the heaven. The city of Jerusalem and King Solomon may both have been named after him. The god Shalem may have been associated with dusk and the evening star in the etymological senses of completion, of the day, sunset, and peace. In Ugaritic texts, the two are associated with the sun goddess. Shalem is also mentioned separately in a Ugaritic god list, and forms of his name also appears in personal names, perhaps as a divine name or epithet. Okay. Okay. And then it's a little bit more there. Okay. Yeah. There it is. Okay. So let me see what I have here. Let me see, because I have some other slides here, but I really want to focus on Jerusalem. Let's see. I'm looking right now. I'm just going through some of this stuff here that I have. Okay, let's see. Okay, you guys have seen this, right? We've already talked about this. I'm sure many of you have checked this out here. Israel, it's believed, and there's a lot of evidence. It's still in the area of art. It can be argued either way. but it's believed that the word Israel is a breakdown of Isis, Ra, and El. That's what's believed, but like I said again, I've heard arguments on both sides, so you take it for what it's worth. But there's enough right there to tell you, this stuff ain't. They definitely was Israel. The other thing too, and this will come out in the Who and the L podcast. Israel was. It's what's so crazy is when we read about the Exodus. This is the other thing that's crazy about this. When we read about when we read about the Exodus, right? You have Moses, and then it's supposed to be the children of Israel. They're leaving Egypt in shambles and all this. So they go across the Red Sea. And where are they heading? They were heading to the Promised Land, which they ultimately get to. Moses doesn't, but Joshua and Caleb and all of them, they ultimately get there, right? Now, all of this time that they're traveling and eventually get there, guess where they're actually heading to? When you actually look at history, they're actually heading back to Egypt. Because the Promised Land, or also known as what's called today Israel, was actually part of the New Kingdom Egypt. New Kingdom Egypt. It was under the authority of Egypt, and so it was referred to as New Kingdom. It was during the New Kingdom era where they were, and that's where they were traveling to. This is why when you look at actual history and you look at what's said in the Bible, it doesn't add up. It's like, so they were going back to Egypt? What's going on with that? It doesn't make any sense. We cover that in great detail in our series, and then we'll probably revisiting it again in our research group as well. So you can check that out. But yeah, we've talked about this, and before. Let me share with you this other thing here too, while I have you guys here. This is another thing we've touched on as well in our series. We talked about, there's a comparison that was done between the garments of the high priest in Egypt with the garments of the high priest amongst the Hebrews, so-called Hebrews. And when you look at the description, when you go in scripture and you read the description of what the high priests, which are on the right of Israel, and you do a comparative to the high priest in Egypt, it's pretty much the same. It looks a little different, but it's pretty much the same. You see how they had to wear the little kippah, the skull cap, and all of that. And then here in Egypt, they did the same thing. We talked about this thing that they had, the arm Teflon. We talked about that and what that means. They got all of this. When you look at history, they ripped all of this from the Egyptians, all of this. And again, I have to keep emphasizing this. This is not something that, that's made up. You can confirm this. You can look this up yourself. Here's another page here. And Kristen, I saw what you said there. Hold on. I'll get to that in a moment. Even they tell you this. The Jews themselves are telling you that, yeah, we got it from the Egyptians. Let me see what else I had here. Oh yeah, shalom. Does shalom come? Now that's a very interesting question, because the word shalom, we actually talked about that before. The word shalom, it doesn't mean what most people say they think it means. You think it means, it just means a time of peace, and it just means I'm praying that you are in peace. It does mean that. It does mean that, but it also, what it's tied to is an agreement with light and dark. That's what it also means. We cover that as well. I'm kind of skimming through this here and see if I actually have this in my slides here, but it's an agreement between the light and the dark. And this is where they get the whole duality stuff from. So even when you're saying shalom, what you're saying is, I'm coming in agreement with the light and the dark. Okay, that's what shalom actually means. I had something else here, and we went through that. What I just showed you, the garments, we actually did that. We went through that in the past. There was one other thing here that I had. Oh, we talked about the not the Sabbath. Oh yeah, we talked about the Sabbath and what that really comes from, and what gods that's tied to. Why Israel, in their synagogues, why they like the color blue. What does that come from, and what that's representative of? See, you got to understand when you're trying to be these other people, you got to make sure you understand the history behind it. See, we talked about that. The purple color that they have, that they embrace, it actually comes from the Canaanites and Phoenicians. There's a whole story behind that. I'm trying to get to something I was going to show y'all, something else. We talked about the connection between Saturn and the Sabbath. Yes, there's a connection between Saturn worship and what you call the Sabbath. There's a connection between the two. Oh, I know what I was looking for. Oh, okay, here. I'm getting closer here to it. Okay, hold on. This we'll talk about another day, but I wanted to just show this to you guys. And then we're done. Getting closer. We did a whole big thing where we actually went through the menorah. And where did the menorah actually originate? Where did that come from? Is that even in these slides here? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Oh no, I got like 100 and something. Dang. Okay. So this, I'm just showing this to you real quick. So yeah. Oh yeah, one day. And so yeah, the color purple itself, ain't nothing wrong with that, because that book was about the color purple, referring to like the flowers. So purple ain't bad. It's just how it's used. You know what I mean? Our creator created all these colors, but these evil people, they done took it and try to use it for themselves. You know what I mean? So anyway, so we talked about the menorah, and we talked about, this is going back into ancient history. In each one of these candles, they represent a different planet. And this is ancient, y'all. This ain't like something that someone just made up. Okay, this is ancient. And what I'm trying to tell you is, as long as you, the only thing, well, it's the Bible and that's it. We ain't going to read any other book. That's it. You ain't going to never get this. Okay. But we went through all of this and talked about how each candle wick, it actually represents a different deity, and where they actually got this whole idea of the menorah, where it comes from. All right. So yeah, so we talked about this. And we covered quite a bit in that series, and this is why we've been encouraging people, hey, listen, go check it out. And so what we're doing is, if you want to just sit and watch it, which I would recommend, you can watch it over on my Bantu, and that way you'll get to see the slides and the images and stuff like that, because you're going to hear me on the podcast referring to these things, but if you don't see it, then you're kind of missing out. Okay. We also talked about how Freemasonry is based on Judaism. We talked about that. Something else I learned today, hopefully I'll remember it as I'm going through here. This is something I brought up many times over, and this is a signet. This is the seal of King Hezekiah. This is the seal of King Hezekiah. Now, that they said they found in Jerusalem, and it does say his name on here. This is the seal of King Hezekiah that you're looking at. Now, what do you notice on here when you take a look at it? All right. You have the winged sun, right? Of course, you got the Hebrew, name for, I guess God or whatever on there, right? You got Hebrew folks that walk around with this all on shirts and hats and don't even realize what they're wearing. They're just repeating what someone on YouTube or whatever told them, but they don't take the time to look to actually what these things are really tied to. You have the Ankh. So this and this is straight Egypt. You want to know why Egyptian is on here? Egyptian stuff is on here is because Israel, for the most part, what we call Israel was actually part of the new kingdom of Egypt. And there's a whole lot of artifacts that we went through as well. And we looked at a ton of Egyptian artifacts that they're still finding over in Israel. So it's like, well, wait a minute now. I thought this was the set apart Holy Land. Well, now you finding out something different. And it ain't just artifacts, but they're also finding like whole like burial sites that are Egyptian. I'm just looking here. Let me see if I have anything else, y'all, that I can talk about, and then I'll mention to you briefly here. I think I went through, we talked about West Africa. When I say West Africa, I'm referring to like the people like in Ghana, Nigeria, some people in Nigeria. We looked into that because you got groups there. And I ain't talking about this group that's going around talking about they're the original Hebrews. I forgot the group, but it's another group of people who actually say then they have the proof in their own language that they actually not only do they claim to come from Egypt, that their lineage comes from Egypt, but they have whole books where they do a comparative between their language that they speak today and Egyptian, the language that's spoken over in Egypt. And there's a ton of similarities. We went through all of that. Is this the book here? Hold on. Oh, yeah. Here's it right here. It's right here. The divine kingship in Ghana and ancient Egypt. This book here, it actually goes through, and does a comparative between like their spirituality, the certain gods that you'll find that are worshipped in Ghana are very similar, if not the same as the gods in Egypt. So I mean, there's ample evidence that shows that these people that you'll find like in Ghana, Nigeria, and that region up there, they actually came out of Egypt. But these same people will also claim that they were the Hebrews. And so is there a correlation between the Hebrews and the Egyptians? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. And that's kind of what we addressed in this past month in our research group. Anything else? Oh, I don't know how this got in here, but yeah, just the correlation between where the tarot cards come from. It's all the Hebrews came up with all of that. And I think they got that from Egypt. As you can see, I'm just kind of going through stuff right now. Oh yeah, the tree of life. We talked about this. Okay, you see this right here. This is referred to as the tree of life. And people who practice Kabbalah, they go with that, and they're just saying like this is like a breakdown of the different godheads and stuff like that, right? What you see my mouse on, right? And so it's believed that the Hebrews or the Jewish people came up with that, but no, they got that from Egypt. Egypt had their stuff. All right, so yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. We talked about this and the meanings behind that. I mean, this is a book here. It's Igbo Mediators of Yahweh. And this is another book. They go into all of that as well. Anything else? Okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that we can go through, but I just wanted to share with you that we talked about. So in this broadcast, we talked about Jerusalem, what that word actually means. What is it dedicated to? Then we took a jump to, okay, now that we established that, now we know that, let's go to the book of Revelation. Well, wait a minute now. The book of Revelation is saying that there's going to be a new Jerusalem, and this is a set apart city, so anyway, so that's that. I did mention, if you didn't, we also, the discussion that we had on the community page the other day regarding Melchizedek. I can just show that to you real quick for those who just missed that. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I thought it was right here on the screen. Okay, it's right here. All right. Yeah. Okay. So Melchizedek, we did and this is stuff, I put the links there. And again, don't look at this and say, oh, he's using Wikipedia, that's his only source. No, you can look at Wikipedia gives a link to all the sources. All right. So Wikipedia, they can be iffy at times, but typically what they do is they'll give you a link. They don't just put anything there. They actually, source a lot of their stuff. And you as a reader, it's up to you to go and research this stuff on your own even further. So anyway, this post right here goes through a whole breakdown of the word Melchizedek and what that actually means. This is just, when I tell you, I'm literally scratching the surface on this post when it comes to Melchizedek, because you got Melchizedek. Sedek is a god. That's a Phoenician god. All right. And I talk about that right here. And it says he was a Phoenician god who was equated with the Roman Jupiter. And hence it has been suggested that Sedek was connected to the worship of the planet Jupiter as a manifestation of justice and righteousness. And so, you know how they say like the Melchizedek, he was the king of righteousness. Well, no, yeah, he was a king of righteousness, but it was Sedek. Sedek is the god. He was the god. Sedek was actually a manifestation of righteousness itself. He was a Phoenician god. Here we're back with the Phoenicians again. All right. And, but it goes even deeper. Okay. I'm not going to overload y'all. Okay. I'm not going to overload y'all because Sedek is a part of a whole family of other gods. I think his father, when it goes in talking about the bread and the oil, it's not Sedek. I think it's someone else. He is the god, is a Phoenician god. He's the god of healing and the god of oil. I'll talk about that another day. It's a Phoenician god, a god of healing, and everything I'm talking about predates the Bible. Everything I'm sharing with y'all, this is history that predates the Bible, and it's all well documented. If I had it in front of me, I would give it to you. But he's a god of healing and he's a god of oil. Okay, gee, I wonder where you heard that from. Okay, that when you talk about that, then what the Greeks came in and they kind of took some of that and they came up with their own god and called him Eclipsius. One of his symbols, you've seen the rod with the snake going around that's Eclipsius. Hope I'm saying it right. And that was like his symbol, a god of healing. And he's also had oil, healing oil. All right. And so, yeah, that's where we get. And then later on, you get Jesus coming in and taking all of that. Right. And yeah, so it's what you'll find all in that region. They borrowed from each other when it comes to formulating different gods and stuff like this. And all of this is taking place. So you had all this activity going on right around a city called Biblios. Biblios is where we get the word Bible from, and that's where the Bible was written. Well, the name Bible came from. I'll just say that. I think that's it. Like I said, I don't want to overload y'all with this right here because the main point of this broadcast was to really talk about Jerusalem and where that word comes from. All right. So what I strongly encourage you to do is to take everything that has been shared in this broadcast, and I want you to research it yourself. That's what I want you to do, okay? Because I am not an expert. I don't position myself to be that. I'm just simply a person that will read and will look further into things, and I think we all, to a degree, are like that, okay? But I'm encouraging you to do that. Never take anybody's word just on whatever it is. You got a lot of people operating on pure emotion and stuff like that. And also you have a lot of people who have a vested interest in keeping a lie going. I'll tell you this is the last one I'll tell you. And I just heard this today. KKK. Okay. We all know the KKK, right? Well, the letter K is what number? I ain't gonna wait for y'all because there's always a delay. What number is the letter K in the alphabet? Alphabet. Where do we get the alpha? That's a whole nother thing. Phonetic. You ever hear of phonetic spelling? Right? Phonetic, that comes from the Phoenicians. That's a whole nother thing. You're going to hear this Phoenician thing coming up over and over again. It's going to keep coming up over and over again. Phoenicians are going to keep coming up. Our alphabet. All right. But anyway, K, the letter K is the number 11. The letter K is the number 11. If you count it, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K is the number 11. So you got K, K, K. If you add that up, what does that give you? 33. So it's a Masonic order, right? Now, let's go along with it a little bit more. It's a Masonic order. The KKK is. What do we say about the Masons? The Masons is a Judaic organization. At the end of the day, that's what they function on. That's their foundation, is Judaism. Okay, stay with me. All right. So the KKK really at its foundation is a Masonic order. All right, it's based on Masonry. Then black folks came along, I'm talking about here in this country, and was like, well, we want to be just like the white people. We're going to create our own Masonic order. So you got white people over, you got the KKK over here, right? They're tied to the Masons, right? And then you got black folks over here who are also tied to the Masons. What's the foundation of the Masons? Judaism. So who's controlling ultimately both sides of the argument of any and all conflict? Who's controlling it at the end of the day? You want to know why black folks, it seem like, man, we should be much further along than we. No, not as long as you following these people out here. Because they they're controlling both sides of it. Let me go through it again. KKK. The letter K is the number 11. KKK, add them all up. That's 33. The Klan itself, that anytime they do stuff like that, they're telling you it's Masonic. Okay, it's Masonic. So you got the white people over here. They hate black people. We gonna burn them down. We gonna do that. Okay, so you got them folks. Then you got black folks over here who also got their own Masonic orders. But when you dig into that, again, the root is the same root. They're sharing the same root, which is Masonry, but the hidden base of Masonry is Judaism. It's really something. It's really something. So anyway, that's all I have for y'all today. I hope you guys got something out of that. And I'm, like I said, again, I can't encourage you enough. Please, I'm begging you, don't be in the comment section acting crazy. You know, and saying stuff that's off topic and, you know, trying to get, because you will be blocked. Because right now it's time for us to just go and we need to just hit all of this stuff, and we need to hit all of it hard and stop playing these stupid games out here. Okay. Because there's too many people out here want to get you distracted on all this other stuff. What the white people say. I don't care what these folks saying out here. I'm trying to get our people to open their eyes and open up a book. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so there you go. I hope you guys got something out of it. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.